I just want to show you yet another example of just what they said was supposed to happen, or even what they're still saying they can have that is happening is not happening effectively. When it comes to COVID's jabs, okay? So let's just backtrack a little bit. I'll be repeating myself for my people that follow me on all forms of social media. I've talked about this extensively in many shows. When the vaccinations first rolled out, the claim was that it prevented transmission. Dr. Rochelle Walensky said that, I believe it was March the 31st, right as they started to be used to basically en masse. And he says she said what we're seeing with real world data. Don't take my word for anything. Look it up. I've shown you guys the video. As well as the CDC, is that people cannot carry the virus instead of getting basically jabbed. They cannot carry it if they don't carry the virus and they don't get sick. That's what she said. That was adjusted, and they blamed about August the 5th, that was adjusted, and CDC kind of pivoted on that. Dr. Rochelle Walensky yet again said that, okay, what we do know now is that it doesn't stop transmission. Okay, so she said that. There are still people, I even argued, hell, I'll show you an example of this right now. Unfortunately, there are still people clinging on to this lie that it prevents transmission, that of which it does not, as you can see right here. Here's an example of this. Someone tweeting at me. This was yesterday, the day before I shot this. So this is November the 7th. And someone tweets me saying it literally does prevent transmission, though. So there are still people clinging on to this fucking lie. And I just want to preface it by saying that the experts have already conceded that it doesn't prevent transmission. There are multiple studies that have been done, even in the U.S. When you look at what happened with that Massachusetts study that came out a little while back, saying that there was a similar viral load in the people that were unvaccinated and vaccinated. There was no difference. Also, when you look at what we're about to look at now, it also amplifies that, because there's still those people that still cling to this idea, well, it at least stops you from being prevented so you can't spread it. Okay. If that were to be the case, then what we're about to show you shouldn't have ever happened. And a big shout out to Don Walt for pointing this out and gathering sort of this information that's coming directly from the UK here. And you can see right now for certain age groups, you are seeing among the fully vaccinated that the infection rates remain higher than those unvaxxed. And that basically, it seems to kind of make that shift going from really starting at, it looks like age, and it's like midway with age 30, but certainly with age 40, looking at it and really up, you see that. And this is a chart that kind of indicates that certainly, and that these infection rates are high among, and this was the groups that were prioritized, remember, to get the vaccinations in the first place. Certainly with the older population, and despite that, and so they would have the more so the jab rate increases for most parts of the world the older the demographic is, because again they were prioritized. Okay, and as Don notes, if both vaccinated and unvaccinated of all ages get infected and spread, and in most age groups, the vax passports and mandates are pointless. I pointed that out before. It's nonsense. The only reason those exist are to punish those that are not compliant. That's it. It has nothing to do with science or like you're putting more people under threat. Again, we never did this for any other virus. You were never required to have to test negative for flu viruses or common cold viruses or any other virus that associated with or can trigger some sort of form of viral pneumonia, which doesn't have a cure, by the way. If it's not associated with the flu, there is no cure for that. It has to run through your body, and it kills thousands of people throughout the year. Yet at no point in time were people sticking shit up your nose all the time to try to test positive for it, or in like the flu's case, you had to provide a vaccination status in order to just enter it. None of this makes sense then. But it certainly doesn't make sense now when you consider what we do know about this virus. It's just right now existing to punish people. That's it. It's just to punish the people that are not compliant. That's it. That won't submit. That's it. Has nothing to do with health or anything. He continued to note, and this is the important thing that I wanted to say. When you look at this, and again, you can go to this publication over at gov.uk if you need to. But it's talking about the infection rates. It's not like the absolute numbers. Remember, this is, if you're looking at this as a per 100,000. But most important, the rates are among the distinct population, vaxxed and unvaxxed, for each age cohort. So it's not like of all people, like, so with some like hospitalization numbers, you'll see them include like all hospitalizations. That's not what we're dealing with now. This is putting the infection rate per 100,000 by their vaccination status. So this is the closest that you can get. And I'm not saying this without any error or without any sort of inaccuracy in terms of the conclusion that you can draw from it. Like, of course, there's more things that you need to make sure you take into consideration. But certainly when it comes to population and the per capita and all of that, which is at best what we can do considering what we know, that's provided right now. And it shows for a big part of the population that in the UK, which has done a way better job than countries like America with keeping up with the breakthrough rates, are showing right now that the infection rate, and it's not because there's more of them. No, again, this is per 100,000 and it's the distinct population. So vax and the unvax. So considering that most of these age groups right here from basically 30 and up, really, to be honest, you start to see a trend of more people that are vaccinated having higher infection rates, albeit slightly. But still, it shouldn't be even close if the claim was, which is what they did and some people still are, that it prevents it, which we know that's out the gate, that's done. But you still have those that say, well, it minimizes it. It doesn't prevent it, but you still have, because of reasons, they don't want to be saying that they got lied to. They don't ever want to concede that, so they're trying to rationalize what happened. They'll say, well, I at least get some. Well, the data doesn't really support that being the conclusion. Like a concrete one, at least, right? There's still more that we would have to discuss. I know, yeah, there's studies out there that are trying to answer that question, right? They're looking at the SAR and all of that to try to determine that. You know, in some studies that are suggesting that people that get jabbed they're saying that they are like they're running through their cycle of this virus in a shorter period of time, basically. So they're not as infectious, if you will. But then you have to couple that with the data coming from really the same people that is suggesting that people that are double vaxxed in comparison to when dealing with Delta, in comparison to people that are unvaccinated yet are naturally immune, well, the natural immunity gains longer and better protection. So it's a wash at best. This goes along and in line with that, was it Northern Ireland that we were talking about in a certain county. And it was a county that had a near 99% like vaccination rate. And they had a highest case rate in terms of a county. If it was doing what you thought, and especially what they initially said, although conceding later that wasn't true anymore, this shouldn't even be close. It shouldn't even be measurable. Something like this shouldn't exist at all. But it does. Which says in itself, something is fucking fishy. And all I'm doing is covering it. You see people get, and this is why I say it doesn't necessarily need a bunch of like, yeah, you got to get your mind thinking. You do. When you want to try to figure out why all of these people are selling this, pharmaceutical companies being praised and worshiped. Yeah, you kind of got to put on your tinfoil hat because they're not going to put it in your face and admit that. But for a lot of this, it's not necessary at all to do that. All you have to do is look at the data even they're providing. Now, will they plaster it all? No, of course, because it will prove them wrong. right? But the data is available, and it's available easily. You could get it and get a hold of it and just show it that, hey, wait a minute. If what you said was true, this shouldn't be happening. This is looking at your data. So people wonder why, man, you talk about this all the time. Why haven't you got taken down? Well, I've gotten 2 strikes. They just had to get removed because I'm referring to the experts they told me to listen to. I'm referring to the experts that they told me to listen to. So, yeah, they had to take them down. The strikes, that is. But I'm not doing anything extravagant or special. I'm just saying, okay, let me go to the WHO site. Oh, well, this is what it says. Let me go to the CDC. Oh, this is what they said. Let me go to Johns Hopkins. The experts they told me to listen to. This information is available. The public health experts have this information. And yeah, there are quack studies CDC have done, but in terms of actually of areas, this is why it's important to look at multiple countries. You see where this data is collected, you can get a hold of it. It ain't that difficult. And it tells a story that doesn't seem to match up with the policies that it is that they're implementing or attempting to. It's almost like they just simply want to punish people that are not vaccinated. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcannonsake.com.